11. My work with Chromobacter violaceum at MSU gained me an NSF Fellowship, National Science Foundation Fellowship, and an invite to a doctoral program at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I went there as a graduate student in 1982. I was only there about a year when Dr. Maurice Fox, one of my professors, after a heated exchange, told me they were thinking about throwing me out. I asked him why I was deserving of such a nasty fate. My grades, all A's and B's, did not warrant it. I knew 2 C's were MIT's cutoff, and I was not near there yet. I did not deserve such treatment. What was happening here? It started the preceding year upon my arrival at MIT. I learned that I was not eligible for campus housing as I had a wife and 3 children. I tried to find an apartment for us, but there was nothing habitable in my price range available in either Cambridge or Boston. Ultimately, I found lodging in a condemned brownstone on Massachusetts Avenue in Dorchester near Boston City Hospital. There was no water, electricity, roof, heat, or plumbing. Walls were of plaster lath in patches. Huge holes in the floors competed with the wall apertures for perforation supremacy. Fallen bricks and broken masonry served as a rear wall and sewer. Thieves and derelict invasions were a constant threat and accompaniment to our discomfort. Most of our belongings were lost in the first few months there. I worked all summer, fall, and winter of 1982-83 in between classes, 6 hours every day on the building, tearing up lath from the interior walls to burn, trying to keep my family fed and warm, while studying biochemistry as much as I could in the evenings at the Student Union Library. I felt that perhaps the pressure of my truncated dedication to MIT was the real reason for my being abandoned by the school. Professor Fox, Dr. Boris Magasanik, and Gene Brown informed me that it was neither my grades nor my commitment that did it. As I was older than the other students and a baby-killing Vietnam vet, I had picked up some nasty adventitious corollaries to my thought processes along the way. They could not abide my creative thinking, they said, as MIT only wanted analytical thinkers. Yet they ridiculed the Socratic method. They asked me to leave quietly. Should I object to my fate, he said, they would get more aggressive. I did indeed object. They were way ahead of me, though, undoubtedly having had much practice at similar bridling of former maverick unfortunates. MIT's written tests, Blue Book essay style, were graded 100% subjectively. They soon reassessed their earlier evaluation of my Blue Book cogitation and smugly presented me with an altered pre-transcript. They changed 3 of my grades from A's and B's to C's. Now there was a legitimate reason for giving me the boot. I was proven to be genuinely too stupid, they said, too mediocre to be an MIT alumnus. I now was almost in the same position as was my mentor, Buckminster Fuller, who at Harvard, just a kilometer up Mass Ave from there, was thrown out twice a few decades prior. I learned later that MIT was broke. Apparently endowments weren't enough to pay for all that good analysis. Draper and Lincoln labs were all filled up. No one was in the market for a new type of bomb these days. MIT's analytical thinkers built that indescribable destructive horror, gave it to Apollo, and still went bust. As an NSF fellow, I had piqued their need for NSF funds. The poor institute was caught in the horns of a dilemma. Keep me for funding purposes or decide that my intellectual worth was not enough to put up with a married student, especially one with 3 needy kids. Apparently the grants from NSF to the institute would accrue whether they kept me on as a resident fellow or not. All they had to do was accept a quota of NSF fellows. NSF never specified how long MIT had to suffer our non-analytical presence to continue in NSF granting status. I left MIT's campus in Cambridge that day with all the intentions in the world of offing my young self. I stood on the Mass Ave bridge over the Charles for 15 minutes looking toward Cambridge, then Boston, then at the filthy river water below, trying to muster the courage to jump. I struggled long and hard with my demons on that bridge. I thought all I needed was a multi-million-dollar lab with millions of dollars of chemicals and equipment. At thousands of dollars per microgram, P32 was available to me only on the black market. What was the problem? Was I not a discarded, stupid student, almost as wrong-headed a bad actor as Bucky Fuller? Wasn't I broke, starving, living in a glorified pile of bricks with a wife and a passel of kids? Everything was going my way, at least negatively. I don't really know if I would have jumped or not if three things had not held me back. Other people were nearby and I was embarrassed to climb the railing, let alone jump. Then there was my family. My children were all under 18 and I loved them. I would show myself to be pretty irresponsible, leaving them in such an untenable position. The other reason was more mundane. I would have to betray my dream. In my next video, I will tell you how MIT made me rich and famous. Thank you for listening.